keep going. That's what we need to do.
Another week again is not guaranteed. Keep punching him in the face. DeMarcus. Don't get satisfied. Let's go.
The AT&T Stadium crowd is making a lot of noise.
Right now, make him.
I hope for the same thing.
It is as spectacular this place.
Come on, take the ball away, bitch. Let's go now.
Cowboys on 3. Make it loud. 1, 2, 3. Cowboys.
For the first time this season, the Cowboys no longer control their own destiny after a 17-9 loss to the Eagles, who now sit in the top spot of the NFC East. Welcome into Cowboys Flashback. I'm Dani Sureck. The Cowboys knew what was at stake, a win, and they were into the playoffs. However, their inconsistency continued to show in all three phases. It was a messy performance offensively for the Cowboys. They converted just 3 of their 14 third downs, and their #1 ranked offense didn't put up a single touchdown. Some of that blame falls on the coaches, including one questionable decision. On the Cowboys' final drive of the game, they were 4th and 8, and wide receivers Randall Cobb and Amari Cooper were on the sideline. Head coach Jason Garrett went on 105.3 The Fan Monday morning and said that Dallas wanted to play a 12 personnel package with Jason Witten and Blake Jarwin. He said the reason Cooper was on the sideline was because they wanted to rotate Tavon Austin in. Some of the blame from Sunday's loss does fall on the players. Dropped passes, bad throws. Quarterback Dak Prescott didn't practice all week because of an injury to his right shoulder, his throwing arm. It was the first time in his career he had missed practice. However, he said that shoulder did not limit him in any fashion in Sunday's game. Either way, something was off between Prescott and his receivers.
Yeah, we didn't get it done. We're too talented of a team and individuals to not make the plays, starting with myself. And it's disappointing, it's frustrating, but we all take responsibility. And as I said, it begins with me, and we're too talented, and we just didn't execute the way that we're capable of doing, and they did.
How did not getting a running game going, especially the first half, affect the entire offense?
Yeah, it definitely did. Always does. When you can't run, especially this offense, the way we want to run and dictate how the game's going to be played, it's frustrating. And you have to throw the ball a lot. And anytime you make any team in the league one-dimensional, you're giving yourself a better chance. And they did that. They had a good plan, and we weren't able to capitalize on the opportunities that we had.
You said the shoulder did impact you, but you seem to say a little bit more than you normally did. And then to also talk about that play to Austin where you had him in that final possession.
Yeah, I mean, I missed some throws. I mean, I can't say I had pain or felt it in my shoulder. It could be maybe a lack of reps this week. Who knows? Excuse me. But yeah, wasn't my shoulder. Wasn't anything I was feeling. Felt great.
You had more incompletions throwing to Amari today than you've had any games since you've been together. How do you explain what happened?
Yeah, I don't. I'm good. Yeah. Trust me, I'm not crying yet. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't answer that necessarily. If I could, we would have fixed it right then in that first quarter. As I said, they had a good plan. They made some plays, made it tough on us, and we just didn't get it done.
How do you feel about where you stand now? Sub 500 and
yeah.
hope they lose.
Frustrating. I've sat here after every game pretty much, win or loss, and said the good part about it is that we control our own destiny, and that's gone. That's out of our hands now, and that's unfortunate. It's very disappointing because we had the chance, right? We had the chance to control our destiny and be where we wanted to be. But now that it's out of our hands, we've got to control what we can control, and that's getting the win next week.
The division is no longer the Cowboys to win. It's now the Eagles to lose. Prescott was not the only one to describe this loss as frustrating. Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones agrees, and we'll hear more from him next.
Dallas Cowboys Flashback, presented by Reliant, is brought to you by AT&T. Rico's products make every game a home game with Rico's. Cigna, together all the way. And by Reliant, an NRG company.
Normally after the game, Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones stops by a media scrum outside the Cowboys locker room and talks for a good while, answering every question the media has to ask him. However, that was not the case after the Cowboys' 17-9 loss to the Eagles on Sunday, bumping them out of the first place in the division. Jones was quick, but here's what he had to say.
It is a very meaningful game because of the circumstances within the league, and we've had times this year a lot when we didn't play as well as we wanted to play, but we had in mind stepping back up here and getting on a run and having some good things happen. This is a disappointing setback for that locker room and for all of us, and I know it is for the fans.
Jones is right. This is definitely a setback for a team that has so much talent on the roster and had such optimism after a 3-0 start to the season. One of those disappointed players is wide receiver Amari Cooper, who was targeted 12 times in the game, however finished with just 24 yards on 4 receptions. Cooper has been dealing with lower body injuries all season long, however has played through them. Cooper says those injuries did not play a factor in his lackluster performance Sunday afternoon.
I just feel like overall, we just didn't get the job done. I know on my behalf, I know I didn't play my best game at all. It was terrible. So, play important games like this, everybody has to come and bring their A game if we really want to win. And I don't think we did that tonight.
You said they took you out. Did they give you a reason why they took you out?
Nah, I just can't. Just took me out.
You and Dak missed 7 times. That's the most you've missed completing a ball in the time you've been together. What seemed off to you today?
Just the way, to be honest, just the way that it wasn't nothing to do with the chemistry. It was just the way the DBs were playing those particular routes. Like, for example, on one of the routes, it was a curl, and I beat him at the line of scrimmage, and he was like under me, and obviously a curl you have to stop, and he was right there. So just the way they were playing, we could have ran like more deep routes. I feel like the go ball was a good route to run tonight, but we didn't really get to it.
What most disappoints you about the performance, given what you could have achieved with the victory tonight?
Yeah, the fact that we don't control our own destiny anymore.
First time all year.
Yeah.
All right. How big of a component was frustration in this game? Did you feel that as the game went along? Just that it wasn't clicking?
Yeah, when things aren't clicking in an important game like this, and then you look at the scoreboard and you're not winning, you're losing. It's frustrating. But when we all know that the game isn't over until it's over, so it was kind of that feel like we still have a chance to win until the clock hits 0 and we're not winning.
Cooper says this team now has to deal with the consequences from that loss. Not only do the Cowboys need to beat the Redskins next week, they also need the Giants to beat the Eagles. Individual accolades don't mean much when the team isn't winning. However, one Cowboys receiver hit a major one. I'll tell you who it was and what he accomplished right after this.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T.
It's a zero blitz.
This cover 0, right. Here's the blitz, and Prescott heaves the ball deep down the left side, 1-for-1. It's intercepted at the 40-yard line.
It's caught. I think it's caught.
Gallup came away with the ball. Oh, what a wrestling match.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Welcome back to Cowboys Flashback. Something that shouldn't be buried in the Cowboys' ugly loss to the Eagles on Sunday was the major milestone that wide receiver Michael Gallup reached. Gallup is just the 14th Cowboy to reach 1,000 receiving yards in a season. Amari Cooper has already reached that plateau this year, and it's the first time the Cowboys have had a pair do so in the same season since tight end Jason Witten and former wide receiver Des Bryant did so in 2012. Gallup stopped by with Brad Sham and Babe Laufenberg in Philly after Sunday's game.
This would be a big celebration for a lot of reasons if the result had been different. For Michael Gallup, who had a big day and crossed the 1,000-yard mark for the season for the first time in his career, and more about that later. But we appreciate your time. I know it's got to be tough because it felt like as a group you left some touchdowns out there today. How frustrated are you as a group?
We're all frustrated. We obviously didn't play our best game, our best ball. when we needed to. This is a big game, obviously. So it's just a tough one. We got to watch the film, and then we got to put it to bed, though.
We're up in the booth. We're watching from 200 feet in the air, obviously. So anything we think about what's happening to Dak is conjecture from up there. Could you tell that he was hurting in the huddle? Could you see any difference in his demeanor?
No.
No.
Not at all.
Obviously, he didn't throw the ball as well, understandably so, when you've got dealing with that shoulder, as we were accustomed to him seeing. But nothing in the huddle in terms of he took a couple big hits, one on the option, one along the sideline when he ran it.
Yeah, I mean, he took some shots, but I mean, Dak's a trooper. He's going to keep playing till the whistle blows. That's just who he is, and I mean, really, he was putting the ball out there for us. So I mean, we shouldn't, we can't bash him at all. To be honest, he was putting it where we can make plays on the ball. That's what we're supposed to do. So we didn't do it. So. That's on us.
I don't want to let the conversation get away without talking about your milestone. It's been a long time since two wide receivers on this team each had 1,000 yards, and I know you'd trade all of it for the win, but that is the kind of thing that you play for that's an indicator of how much you're helping the team. What does being a 1,000-yard receiver for the first time mean to you?
It means it means a lot. It means I've just really been working to do what I'm supposed to do, know what I'm supposed to do, know where I'm supposed to be, catch the ball. But it still don't feel that great because we took the loss, like you said.
And Michael, I know we're 30 minutes after this. There's a lot of raw emotion, undoubtedly. Yeah. It's going to be very difficult to flip the switch, get yourself ready to play a game that could again have the NFC East Championship on the line next Sunday. So, how do you approach that?
I mean, we got to take these couple of days off, get your rest. But really, you should know, we're not in control technically of our destiny anymore, but we can still go out here and play, some great football, next Sunday. So,
and if Philly loses to the Giants, you're back. You're back right to it, and we won't know because the games are going to be taking place at the same time.
Yeah, so we just got to go out there and play our best ball. We got to control what we can control, and that's all we can do.
Okay.
The Cowboys will have to play their best ball next week when they host the 3-12 Washington Redskins, whom they'll have to beat for any chance at making the playoffs. Philadelphia's offense is riddled with injuries, yet they still managed to put up 17 points on the Cowboys. We'll hear from defensive ends DeMarcus Lawrence and Robert Quinn on the other side of the break.
Second and 12, and Wentz with play action. Back, rush, hit, fumble the ball. I think he fell back on it. Quinn got a sack.
Welcome back to Cowboys Flashback. The Eagles were simply the better team on Sunday. Quarterback Carson Wentz threw for more than 300 yards, and the Eagles converted 43% of their third downs. Defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence used the same word as everyone else to describe this loss: frustrating.
Knowing that you lay all your chips out there, all your energy, everything that you have, and still come up short is very disappointing.
What's the problem with the pass rush? I mean, you got some pressure, but you didn't bring it down.
Did y'all count how fast the ball was getting out of his hand? All right, then, that's the problem.
You've been on a little bit of a drought the last couple of weeks. Has that been the case with quarterbacks with you?
I mean, if you watch the film, bro, you'll see it. So, I guess the chip game, the quick game, all those, and the screen game play an aspect of, getting to the quarterback. I mean, it's hard to get to the quarterback when you have to, defend, all those things. And, I mean, it's really, no excuse why we didn't get the job done today, but we did.
Marcus, how frustrating is it to know with all this talent, you now have to depend on someone else to lose for you guys to reach?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, it's disappointing, to come up in here and, to have a great opportunity like this to take the division and fall short. No excuse. I mean, best of luck to the New York Giants. Hopefully they, get the job done. But, only thing we can do is, worry about next week and winning that game.
Given the talent, given the situation, you had a chance to wrap it up today. Can you remember being this disappointed?
Say it again?
Given the talent, as Keith was mentioning, and also the opportunity you had today, can you remember being more disappointed or frustrated?
I mean, talent without a direction is nothing at all. It's all about, us making sure we don't lose sight of our direction and, bringing that talent all together. a lot of people out here, you know, want to split us up and you want to talk about, you know, the wins and the losses and all that, but it comes down to, you know, us staying together and being the brotherhood that we say we are and just getting the job done.
I think it's tragic when you're on any team, you don't make the playoffs. Your job is to make the playoffs and make a run for the Super Bowl. So, I mean, no matter who's on the team, no matter what team you're on, if you don't make playoffs, it should be disappointing, frustrated for you. But, you know, we got a slim chance. We got to root for a team, beat a team that we need to beat. But, I mean, all we can do is control what we can control at this point.
How do you characterize kind of what frustrated you most about that game today and not being able to take advantage of the opportunity?
I just think, you know, again, I just speak defense. You know, we gave up one, I know a touchdown, maybe two, I get two. And, you know, and how tight the game was, we can't allow, you know, the opposing team to score points, but, you know, they did. I don't, you know, so we got to look at ourselves on what we did wrong, and I mean, well, we got for sure one more and see what happens from there.
Quinn says the defense shouldn't allow 17 points in a game and gives credit to the Eagles for making the big plays when they needed to. As a veteran, Quinn says he's reminding his teammates that not all hope is lost. He says that game is over. It's time to regroup and focus on beating the Redskins next week. Don't go anywhere. Head coach Jason Garrett at the podium next. The Cowboys have a lot riding on their final game of the season, and so does head coach Jason Garrett, who's in the final year of his contract. Garrett needs to find a way to lead this team to a victory to have any chance of making the playoffs. The division was in arm's reach on Sunday, and Garrett said his team didn't do a good enough job in any aspect of the game.
Yeah, you know, unfortunately, we didn't do what we needed to do in all three phases of our team today to win. You know, give Philadelphia credit. They played a good ball game. We didn't play well enough to win the game, and there were a lot of different areas that we have to get better at. There certainly were some things we did well, but it certainly wasn't good enough.
What did you think of that, throwing the ball today?
I thought at times he threw the ball very well. Other times we weren't as efficient as we needed to be in the passing game. Yeah, we just had the one fumble. Unfortunately, we lost that. That would have given us a field goal opportunity to get points there. And I just think in general, we weren't as efficient as we needed to be in the passing game. Obviously, they loaded up against the run. They did a good job. They came in with the idea that we weren't going to be able to run the football. I thought we tried to be persistent with the running game. It wasn't effective enough throughout. There were a couple of good runs here and there, but not consistent enough throughout the ball game. And then we had to attack them in the passing game based on what they were doing. And at times we made some big plays in the passing game, but other times we weren't able to convert like we needed to.
On the fourth down to Gallup, why were Cobb and Cooper not on the field at that point?
Yeah, we just talked about that. That, you know.
Say why they were off.
Yeah, and sometimes in those 2-minute situations, you know, they'd run a lot of plays in a row, and you know, so the other guys were out there.
In Cooper's case, he was out for a stretch of 5 or 6 plays in a row. You know, that drive and the one before, was he hurt?
He wasn't. We were rotating Tavon in there. You know, had a couple good opportunities with Tavon. Unfortunately, we weren't able to cash in on him.
Mark Cooper was not hurt, correct?
He was not hurt in the game, no.
What is your message to your team now?
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get the job done, and we all have to own it. I have to own it. The coaching staff has to own it. All the players and staff members have to own it and give the Eagles credit. And now we have to go forward. Unfortunately, we don't control our destiny anymore, but we do control our opportunity next week against Washington. So we'll get back in there. We'll clean up this game. We'll get our eyes forward. We'll try to do our part and finish up the season the right way. Yeah, I don't want to get into the whole aspect of that call, but there's a lot of different things that can happen based on what they play. and they play a particular front, we can get to that play. If they play another front, we're going to run a different play in that situation. Zeke had gotten the ball a number of times, and he was, just needed a little bit of a rest there, and so he came out. Obviously, Zeke was a big part of our game today in that particular situation. The way we implemented that play, we felt good about what we got to. Unfortunately, we weren't able to convert on it.
The Cowboys no longer control their own destiny. Not only will they have to beat the Redskins, they'll also need the Giants to beat the Eagles. Reminder that Sunday's game has been flexed to now 3:25. With so much riding on this game, there will be plenty of information you'll want to stay up to date on. You can see every show, podcast, and article on DallasCowboys.com covering every inch of this team. Thank you for watching Cowboys Flashback. I'm Dani Sureck. Happy holidays.
Dallas Cowboys Flashback, presented by Reliant, was brought to you by AT&T. Academy, the official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys. Reliant, an NRG company. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' film and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.